We are back talking SEC football here on Southeastern 14. I'm Chase Robinson. We're going to talk some transfer portal and some SEC schools who have picked up some guys over the last 24 hours or so. But first, we got to remind you, Bet Online, your number one source for all of your summer sports this season, from MLB to NBA, golf, NHL, latest stats, news, scores available to you. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. So head over to the website or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. So again, transfer portal spring window is open for the month of April. And so several SEC schools are, I imagine, going to hit it pretty hard, especially after spring practice. They kind of have an idea of what they need, what their needs are, where they lack depth, where they would like to see some growth. And so I think especially this week, now that teams are finished with spring practice, you're going to see more movement in the portal. Last Wednesday, the portal opened, and you saw a lot of guys jump in the portal. Now you're starting to see them land at schools. They're going on visits. They're being contacted by the coaches. And so I think this week you'll start seeing more guys commit. We saw several guys commit yesterday via their social medias. And so we're going to look at 4 different players that have relocated to SEC schools that I think will make an immediate impact with the school that they have chosen. I want to start with the Alabama Crimson Tide because they got a huge pickup over the weekend in kicker Graham Nicholson from Miami of Ohio. Now you're saying kicker being an impact? Yeah, I think he'll be an immediate impact because Alabama is losing Will Reichard, who we know has been one of the most consistent pieces to this Alabama team for the last 5 seasons. And Will Reichard is the NCAA career points leader with 547. And was just, he won some Alabama games for them and was really crucial in some key moments. Reichard 84 of 100 in field goals, 295 extra point kicks. And so there's big shoes to fill as far as kicking in Alabama. And the kicking game that we saw in the spring game was not, I think, what the Alabama coaches were looking for, what they were expecting. And so it's not really surprised that they went to the portal to find a kicker. And they found a good one. Graham Nicholson, again, from Miami of Ohio. He was the Lou Groza Award winner last year for 2023. That's the award that goes to the nation's best kicker. Will Reichard was a finalist for that, but Graham Nicholson ended up winning the award. Last season, he was 27 of 28 field goals. His longest was 52 yards. And as far as point after attempts, he was 35 of 37 last season. So fantastic numbers. He's consistent. That's what coaches look for in a kicker is consistency. In his 3 seasons at Miami of Ohio, he was 60 of 71. That is 84.5% of the kicks he put up, he made. And so, again, big shoes to fill coming in for the NCAA career points leader in Will Reichard. But I think Alabama fans, you have a lot to be excited about with Graham Nicholson. And I think for so long, Alabama struggled in the kicking game. I mean, it's no surprise there. And you look back over the years at some games that were lost by special teams, by the kicking team. So I think Alabama has become accustomed the last 5 seasons to having such a great kicker in Will Reichard. To now that looks to continue with Graham Nicholson. The consistency of kicking will continue with Alabama. So Alabama fans, you have a lot to be excited for in Graham Nicholson and what he can bring to this team and just the consistency that he has been kicking there at Miami of Ohio. So that was a big pickup, I think, for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama to add another piece to this Alabama roster that he lost. And Will Reichard, again, probably going to be a high draft pick in the NFL draft. That's just the kind of player he was for Alabama. So Kalen DeBoer going out and getting a big-time kicker in Graham Nicholson is a huge pickup for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's move over to Arkansas. The Razorbacks got a big linebacker pickup out of the transfer portal from Jacksonville State, Larry Worth the third. And Worth picked up 63 tackles in his time there at Jacksonville State, 6 tackles for loss. In the New Orleans Bowl last season for Jacksonville State, he had his career high 12 tackles in that game and 1 sack in that game alone. He has 2 seasons of eligibility left. Also has picked up 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and an interception last season as well. He's the second transfer linebacker from Arkansas, and I think that's been a priority for them this spring. They saw the need. They just have some younger guys on the defense, especially in that linebacker position. So they said, hey, let's go out and get some guys who have been in big-time games, and Larry Worth is one of those guys. He had a tremendous career at Jacksonville State, and I believe he'll make an immediate impact at Arkansas. He's that kind of player that he can move to a place like Arkansas and get the job done. So it's a young defense. They're looking to add players. They're looking to add depth, and I think that's a big pickup there in Larry Worth III, and especially at that linebacker position. And again, he had a great ending to last season, like I mentioned in the New Orleans Bowl. So put him in this defense, and I think he will shine for sure. So Arkansas got a big pickup there on defense with Larry Worth III of Jacksonville State. Arkansas also got a big pickup on offense. Florida State's Rodney Hill announced his commitment to the Razorbacks. His career, he has 77 carries for 334 yards. Last season there with the Seminoles, he had 50 carries for 190 yards and a touchdown. And we look at the running back room for Arkansas. I think that has to be a priority. You lost Rocket Sanders to the portal. KJ Jefferson, the quarterback for the Razorbacks from last season, was also the leading rusher for the Razorbacks as well. And so you're having to replace him. So you got to go and get some guys out of the transfer portal. And they've been able to kind of put some pieces in to rebuild this running back room there at Arkansas. But I think adding Rodney Hill to that, a guy who has played in some games for Florida State, was he their primary running back? No, but I think he will be a good fit for Arkansas. And but it's been kind of a wild ride for Rodney Hill. He entered the portal on December the 13th, early in that first portal window, and he committed to Florida A&M. He then decommitted and committed to Miami, and then decommitted from Miami and rejoined Florida A&M, and now he is at Arkansas. So since December, it's been a wild ride for Rodney Hill, but he has found a landing spot at Arkansas, and hopefully he can provide some much-needed depth, some much-needed consistency there in the running back room for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So I think that's a pretty good pickup there for the Razorbacks. And the Auburn Tigers were able to get a guy they can put on the defensive line to add some depth, and that is Phillip Blidi from Indiana. And he is 6'3", 295 pounds. I think he'll fit in great on that Auburn defensive line. He spent 1 year at Indiana and 3 at Texas Tech. At Indiana last season, 30 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup. Texas Tech, he had 27 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss. Auburn, again, on the defensive line, looking to add depth, looking to add some guys there in the trenches. 4 of the 10 new additions to this Auburn team that they've been able to bring in out of the portal since last season ended have been defensive linemen. And that's what they're linemen, and that's what they're looking to add to. And you look at the defensive line right now, you got Jason Jones, I think, who's kind of the anchor of that defensive line for Auburn right now. He's coming back. I think he's going to be a guy they're really leaning on to kind of lead this group. But also Kansas transfer Gage Keys, Texas transfer Trill Carter, and then you throw Phillip Blidi in on this, and I think that's going to be a solid kind of front core to that defensive line there for Auburn. So I think it's a great pickup, and we'll learn a lot more about these guys as we get closer to the season. But that's kind of what we know now, and how these guys will benefit these teams. I think all 4 of these guys we just talked about will be very key pieces to their team. So we'll be all over covering the transfer portal all across the SEC as guys commit and teams continue to add players. We talk SEC football here on Southeastern 14. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and spread the word about Southeastern 14. I'm Chase Robinson, covering SEC football.